Alright, what's going on, you guys? It's your boy 3 Stacks in this thing, baby, representing Team Kings of Games. Now, today I'm coming at you guys with my update for Monarchs. The way I've been playing is HANDLOOP domain Monarchs for over a year, actually pushing 2 years. We've done some crazy things with Monarchs on this channel. I continue to try to innovate this deck and make it the best it can be because I feel like it's just always going to have potential. This was one of those scenarios that remind me of the past, so like the Dino structure deck, the Salamander structure deck, and then the Endymion structure deck. It was just kind of one of those formats when a structure deck did so well, it just took the meta by storm. And basically, this deck really has all of its cards. Nothing's at 0. You still have Pantheism at 1. So it really does have all the same tools that it had back in the day that made it so powerful. And I feel that a deck like that is just always going to be good. Now, people kind of just drifted away from it because it lost popularity. It doesn't seem fun anymore. And a lot of people think it's just a brick fest. But I am one of the people who are still trying to hold on to the dream and continue to make this deck great, or the best that it can be. And the way I feel that it should be played, the most competitive application is just hand looping your opponent with cards like Erebus and the big Thessalos and the little Thessalos, taking cards away from your opponent, locking them out of their extra deck, and saying good luck, have fun. And in addition to that, you of course have Erupt for blocking, monster effects, and then you also can do some crazy stuff with Stormforth and Aether. That's still there, and Aether's at 3, so the deck's still really nice. I applied an algorithm very similar to a Cosmo, I really want to just say it mirrors a Cosmo algorithm more than anything, where you just kind of want to open big ships and pilots. So the way I saw it was the Monarchs were the big ships, and then the Tribute Fodder was the pilots. So you want to play an equal amount. Most Monarch lists would just play 3 Idea, 3 Eidos, and a bunch of big guys, and they'll typically draw hands where they have like a bunch of big Tribute monsters, no Tribute Fodder, or the other way around where they draw a bunch of Tribute Fodder and no Tribute Summon monsters. I've tried to bypass and mitigate that breaking issue so much, and the end results of just like I've been adding draw power, taking cards in, take out, and then just ultimately with Droll being in the format, there's just so much draw cards that you can play that I'm choosing not to play because of Droll, because I'm trying to make this deck as competitive as possible. So I'm showing you a list that you could take to a regional or, YCS if you feel confident enough. But like there are cards like Trade In and Allure Darkness, Celestial Observatory. There's like 3 draw spells that I could be playing this deck, but just draw, So anyways, get into the list. We're going to start off with 3 copies of Aether. It's the best monster to start off with because typically you can just get access to your entire deck with this card. You can summon out any one of the big Monarchs you want, any one of the small ones, and add it back to your hand. Then you can normally just start snowballing out of control. Typically when you open Idea, like if you open a really good hand, you have access to Pantheism, Idea, and Aether. That's your entire Monarch engine, and you could just start progressing your game state on your opponent's turn. And you kind of just slowly just wither your opponent's resources down and try to start to take control of the game. So it's more of a mid-tempo progression, so you are kind of playing mid-range as well. But the deck can OTK. I will say that the deck does have some hands where they're just very explosive, and there's sometimes you're going to be like, dang, I didn't know I could play through a few hand traps and still end on something. But Aether is just a standalone card. She's incredible. She's actually the best card to summon because she can still get you access to Erebus, which is the second best, but my personal preference, I really like him more because when I play this deck, I'm trying to take as many cards out of my opponent's hand before they actually get to play. So typically, if you open the correct hand, which you're in the perfect world, you're gonna open the correct hand every time, but this ain't a perfect world. You're able to resolve both Erebus and also Thessalos, which you get your extra tribute from Mithra, which is typically how you do it, and you'll just tribute summon for Erebus and Thessalos, resolving return to search Aether so that you can use Aether on their turn, or another Caius or Erebus to rip another card out of their hand using Escalation to tribute summon on their turn. Erebus provides also a non-targeting, non-destroying spot removal and allows you to grind it out. Once you have him in graveyard, this card's going to reward you and just continue to reward you as long as you keep one in your grave and never ever use his effect on himself. You have 2 other Erebuses in your deck for that. You want to always leave him in your graveyard because you will be rewarded by that. Just continue to just leave him in your grave and use him to add your cards back, add your Aethers back, add back your Thessaloses and stuff like that. Just keep grinding it out, and you can just trigger cards like, Prime, just pitch Prime, add something back, banish, summon, tribute summon. But this card's just insane, going first or second. It's a really incredible card. So you've got Erebus, you've got Aether. When you play against zombies, you can actually still tribute summon under Zombie World because of him, which is a fun fact. Next up, I play 3 copies of Mega Thessalos. So these are my main go-to. Like, these are my big hitters. We've got Erebus, we've got Aether, and then Mega Thessalos. You really don't have to play them. Most Monarch players really either play one or none of this card, but I am absolutely not only maximizing on him, but I'm also maximizing on his original version. Not the Mega version, just the original, because you can typically resolve both. And the thing is, when you resolve Return of the Monarchs, because you can't search another copy of the same monster, you want to just get another card that can actually still rip cards out of your opponent's hand. Because like I said, the perfect world, when you do open correctly, which this deck does open correctly very frequently, I would say it's more of pushing like towards a 67%, you know, like non-breaking chance, and then like the other 33 is like, you know, the other 33% is breaking. But you're normally able to resolve Erebus, Thessalos for like another Thessalos, and you finish the job off escalation, so you can tribute again, because you only get 2 tribute summons a turn with this deck. There's just like, it's not true Dracos, you're not getting 3 tribute summons. So I really like this lineup. I still like Thessalos itself, but I think Mega's just so much better. He's just incredible. Like, this card is really, really, really powerful. It's very slept on. It takes away cards like Evenly Matched, Twin Twisters, the Kaiju. Basically, in your opening hand, if your deck hard loses to a domain, basically if you need your extra deck to play Yu-Gi-Oh!, which pretty much every deck does, because Draco's not really a thing. So you got Shaddoll, Spirals, you know, even Altergeist need their extra deck at some point. If you hard drew your out to domain in your opening hand, like the domain lock, you can use Thessalos to take it away. So if they drew in their opening 5 Evenly Matched, a Twin Twister, you know, a Kaiju, you can take those cards away from them with Thessalos. And then on their main phase, you can use Escalation to just take their next best combo piece that they would use to try to progress their game state. So it is like the equivalent of Cypher and Little Mega, but it's just kind of putting the card in a different area. And they don't get it back. And then we play 1 copy of Caius, the Mega Monarch. This card's still insane. I feel like you just have to play it. There's some grindy matches. This deck does have some grindy matchups, like when you play against decks like Salmon Greats. And this deck normally is just insane in those grindy matchups, especially when you play against Orcus and when you play against Shaddolls. This card's just really, really powerful. I'm going to have to read you guys the effect, because a lot of people just really sleep on how good this card can be. If you tribute summon him using the right tribute fodder, he's insane. So you know, he's a Mega Monarch, so you can tribute summon him for 1 by tributing a tribute summon monster. You target a card on the field and banish it. So he's spot removal for any card, and it doesn't destroy. So you can target anything and banish it, even a back row, and then inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent, so you can win in time. And the other thing that's cool is it literally says target 1 card on the field. And if you do, inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent. So like I said, you can win in time, because you can target your own domain and banish it, or just Thessalos, rip a card, you know, burn for the monster, right? The other thing is, now, if the card that you banished is a dark monster, you banish all cards with that name from the hand, main deck, extra deck, and graveyard of the player who controlled it. So if you're playing against, like I said, Shaddolls or Orcus, and let's say you target Galatea and you banish her, you banish all Galateas from their hand, you know, not like it's going to be a hand, but you banish all Galateas from their extra deck and from their graveyard, or Dingirsu. And when you're playing against Shaddolls, you target their Winda, you banish their Winda, and get rid of all the Windas for the rest of the game. You can also just banish Construct, so it just doesn't get the graveyard effect to get spells and traps back. And if it's tribute summoned by tributing a dark monster, you can target 2 cards instead. So then this card becomes redundant. I mean, not redundant. I really want to be careful on my verbiage, because people are such like, such like literature, like Hitler sometimes. So anyways, Mega Caius is just insane. That's what I really want to say. So I got to be careful on my verbiage, because people are just so fond of correcting you these days. But Mega Caius is just insane. If you get to hit 2 cards and they are both dark monsters, you're just taking those out of the game, essentially, if they don't have access to their banish zone. So it has really solid matchups. Like when you play against BA, you can just take away all their Skarms. You know, you can take away like just so many different monsters. It depends. If the matchup is dark, it's going to be really good, because you can even like hit cards in Pendulum. It's just insane. It's a really strong card. High key slept on. Gets rid of extra deck staple 3-ofs, and it's really good against Rockets too, because they have certain 3-of staples in their extra deck that you could just banish all of them out the game. So the card can just be an auto win button in certain matchups, and he's also just spot removal for any card, and you can banish 2 cards and inflict 1,000 damage for each, so you inflict 2,000. And then Cross for the draw magic. Sometimes I regret only playing 1, because when you draw it, you can't special it off Aether. But I don't want to bump it up to 2 for that interaction. I like the second Thessalos more, because I care more about the hand loop than I do about the actual interaction with Cross. Just summoning him off Aether, because that's kind of greedy, because if you have him in your hand, you could just tribute summon for him anyways. So these are basically the big ships. So I played 13. So remember, the mathematical algorithm was similar to a Cosmo player. You can brick on big ships if you don't play enough pilots, and you can brick on pilots if you don't play enough big ships. But if you play close to an equal amount of both, you have a higher probability of seeing 1 of each in your opening hand. So no matter how many, if I played 8 Monarchs, I would play 8 Tribute Fodders. Like, that's what I'm trying to get you guys to understand. I keep reiterating that so many times. So starting off with 3 copies of Ideas for our tribute fodder. Idea is one of the most standalone normal summons in this deck. It's powerful. It allows you to loop your Pantheism and cards that you are typically banishing off of Prime. You can actually use Prime to get something back by banishing a card off Prime and using Idea to just add it to your hand. So that's how you can manage your resources even more effectively. We have 3 copies of Eidos. Eidos helps you to grind too. Once you get one engraved, you just have your follow-up for next turn. So when you open Idea, you're set for pretty much the rest of the duel. As long as they don't have like a Call by the Grave or DD Crow, you're pretty much good to go. And then most Monarch players either play 1 or none, but I played 3 copies of Mithra because the way I'm playing my deck list is I actually need to, I feel that I need to be able to tribute summon more than once. So if you open just normal summon Idea, that can be a problem because you're basically going to get just the normal summon of Idea and then a tribute summon of Eidos, and that's it. But if you open like Mithra and other extenders, like if you open like Danger Dogman or like Foolish Burial Goods, you can just tribute summon. Your first normal summon can be a tribute summon, tributing Mithra, and then you get an extra tribute summon so that you can tribute summon again. So what's really nice is when you tribute summon for Erebus, he's a tribute summon monster. So you trigger return, use return to search for Thessalos. And because Mithra is tributed, you get an extra tribute summon. So then you just tribute that Erebus to summon the Thessalos, getting the extra tribute off of Mithra, and then rip another card off their hand, then use Erebus's Grave Effect to get whatever you need. So that's typically the easiest way to do it. Other ways you can do it is opening cards like 1-for-1, Rhoda, in tandem with other cards. But Mithra is one of the best ways to do it. That's why I maximize on her. And I was really considering other vassals to search her out, but it was just too convoluted. We have 2 copies of Dogman. Droll's a thing, so I even cut down on this. Even though it has Monarch stats, it does unbreak your hand. It puts bodies on the field. It lets you draw. It lets you get cards you need in the grave. It's just incredible for this deck. I'm just not trying to get Drolled while I still have Searchers in my hand. Like, I'm trying to play this deck to where if I get Droll and Lockbirded, I already did my searching. So that's why I'm not trying to play too many Searchers and too many draw cards. That's why I'm not playing 3 Allures, 3 Trade-ins, 3 Pot of Desires, 3 Observatories, and 3, what was the other draw card I was talking about? I forgot. But, like, there's just so many draw cards this deck can play that I'm not playing at all because of Droll. If Droll wasn't so popular, yeah, I'd be playing a ton of them. But, again, you're trying to make your deck competitive, so you want to prepare for the worst-case scenario. Since your deck can auto-lose to Droll, if you play so many of those cards, you just try to mitigate that by changing your deck list. So that's it for the monsters. For our spells, we have 3 copies of Domain. Opening this card just really helps you a lot because sometimes you just don't have enough tribute fodder. So just decreasing the level means that's 1 less card that you have to tribute to get it out. And that's what I love about Thessalos is you can typically just tribute summon for like Aether or the Erebus and just search him out and tribute them to hit him, and he's just a 1 tribute because he's a Mega Monarch and you can do that, so it's really cool. But Domain, the other benefit is just doesn't let your opponent play, so you're ripping cards out of your opponent's hand and then you're locking them out of their extra deck, and then you're gonna Stormforth Aether them if you open correctly, like I said in the perfect world. So because the perfect world doesn't exist, unfortunately, you basically maximize on every card possible that can get you there, like the Stormforth, the 3 Aether, the 3 Mega Thessalos, and all that, so that you have a higher probability of drawing those, so that you do see those perfect hands, because you see a handful of 3-ofs is a perfect hand in this deck. Because think about it, these are the 3-ofs, so that's a perfect hand. If you draw one of your 3 Ideas, one of your 3 Aethers, one of your 3 Stormforths, one of your 3 Domains, one of your 3 Tenacities, that's like a perfect hand. And it's realistic because they're at 3, but it's just not a perfect world, unfortunately. So 3 Domain, 3 Stormforth, the card is just insane. I can't believe it's back at 3. There's still magic happening with this. And then we have 3 copies of Tenacity. You're prone to get Drolled on this, but typically, if you're playing around Droll, you probably don't want to search this out, because then if you get Drolled, this card is not going to be able to be used for that turn. So you want to normally just to play safe, when you have information that they're playing Droll, you want to use this to just go straight for a card like Domain, or you want to go for a Stormforth, or you want to go for like Monarch's Erupt, Escalation, Prime, Pantheism. If you're really not scared of Droll, then do that. But typically, I'm trying to not search for a searcher if I can. So that's how you really want to play this card in this format, because Droll's just so prolific right now. It just doesn't make sense. And then we have 2 copies of Foolish Burial Goods and 1 Foolish Burial. It essentially gives me 3 copies of Pantheism. Like, hard drawing Pantheism is better, but you can still use this to just dump it and then search. And then Foolish Burial is just really nice because you can dump cards like Idea and Eidos and get their graveyard effects. And then we have Rhoda, so we have a 4th copy of Idea. 1-for-1, so that we have a 5th copy of Idea. And then we're going to move forward to the traps, which is very simplistic. We just have 2 copies of the Prime Monarch. I play 2 because you normally want to have 1 engraved just floating in rotation to keep having tribute fodder to stop attacks to protect you from multi-Ks. We were doing this back in the day when Cosmos, BA, and Monarchs were like the 3 best decks to beat. Prime was typically how you survived the mirror matches and stopped OTKs, and you know, you could like stop Dante attacks, just hit this instead. So it's just still nice for the grind, but you want the second copy so you can actually have it in your back row, activate it, and start recycling some cards. And the Cyclone's a thing. Then we have the Escalation, because you want to really like search this if you can, so that way you're not just using just Aether alone, because she can summon herself, but unfortunately she can't summon the other monarchs. So you want to use this to summon Mega Thessalos or Erebus on your opponent's turn to just really disrupt even more plays. And then we have Erupt, because it's a searchable floodgate, and Vanity's Fiend restricts my mechanic, and Majesty's Fiend restricts my mechanic. They hurt me and hurt my opponent, but I just want the card to just hurt my opponent and not me, so I just put Erupt in instead. And it also takes less space. One Erupt kind of covers the same ground as 3 Majesties, and Domain nearly it covers the same ground as Vanities in most matchups. I'm going to do a quick little test hand. Hopefully I don't brick, and then I'm going to go ahead and end this deck profile, you guys. So hopefully I don't draw all 3 Mega Thessalos, you know, because my deck is organized, so I'm going to give it a very good power shuffle so that I'm not drawing 3 of the same card because of how, you know, my cards are arranged for a deck profile. Ooh. Alright, so... Goodness gracious, those kids are... Alright. So test hand, let's get it. Dogman, Domain, Foolish Burial, Erupt, and Mithra. So for sure, Domain's important. So I'm gonna RNG with Dogman, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and just special Mithra. Then I'm gonna set the Domain. Actually, I'm just going to start RNGing right now. I'm going to set the Foolish because it seems a little bit more important. Can I use it right now? Yeah, I can Foolish for, let me check Eidos real quick. I'm pretty sure I can Foolish for Eidos. Use effect. Yeah, bench card from the grave. Target monster in your grave. Nope, I need another valid target. So let's start the RNG right now. Dogman. Babe, I want you to just touch a random card. Go ahead, touch a random card. This one? Please don't be... Okay, that's fair. I love you. Send the Domain off. Special Dogman. Draw, we drew the Rhoda. So, even though this is weird, this hand doesn't look like I can get here, right? I've ran into this problem before. This is why Foolish can be nice. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to Foolish for the Erebus. Activate his Graveyard effect. Discard Erupt to add Erebus from grave to hand. People forget you can do that. Then I'm gonna Rhoda for the idea. And then I'm gonna go with normal idea. Goodness gracious, if I could use my extra deck, I could really summon a Link 4 right now. Bring out the Eidos. Get the extra tribute. And we're not gonna, these don't stack, so you kinda have to pick which one. You can't go Mithra and Eidos. So Eidos is more valuable in grave, so I'm just gonna tribute these 2 off. Summon the Erebus, use his effect, you know, take some stuff. But we're also going to go ahead and start our engine by dumping Pantheism and the Prime Monarch. And we're going to, you know, take a card from our opponent. We're actually going to rip a card off their hand. And then we're going to banish the Pantheism. And what we're going to do is we're going to grab... I wish we didn't hard draw that Domain because I want to reveal 3 domains and just activate it, but we can't. So I would say... reveal a Prime in 2 domains. They'll probably give you the Prime if they really are scared, you know, if they need their extra deck, they'll give you the Prime no matter what. So I guess to make it to where you get no matter what you want no matter what, you can just put 2 of anything. Like you could put 2 domains plus 1 anything, and they'll normally give you that because they don't want you to have Domain. So you'll probably get this. I'll just go through this because I really don't have anything left in my hand and I'm trying to just stay in the game. So you would just grab Prime, you know, set it. You can draw now because you can just typically... activate this, you know, put some cards back. Prime's still in grave, and you got Eidos in grave. And then when Erebus goes away, you can always add them back. So you're kind of established, but you're not all the way there. But this is just a test hand. And it's funny, you guys saw the hand really was a brick hand. It was. The RNG got us there, and then me playing my cards in the correct order got us there. So it was cool, but I'm going to do another one. Hopefully I open broken this time. so you guys can see how the deck functions. But just keep in mind, it is Monarchs, and like I said, I've tried my hardest to just fix the bricking problem, but it's just going to happen sometimes. Some things are just inevitable in life, and you just got to roll with the punches when it does happen. So we're going to draw, ooh, 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 no. So see, that's unfortunate too. Even playing 3 Eidos, 3 Erebus, 3 Eidos, 3 Ideas, 3 Mithras, the Dogmans, you still have hands for the same problem that I told you. You know, playing Monarchs. And as much as you guys saw how many Tribute Fighters I put in my deck. So look, what I have to do. I have to like set Stormforth and pass. Now, if I was going second, right? Let's say if I was going second, this would probably be a lot more progressive because I could Stormforth away something. You know, I could activate Return, and then I can go ahead and just, boom, drop a Tribute Monster. But in a perfect world, it don't work like that. So we'll do one more because that was kind of trash. I'm not going to lie. We drew 2 returns and 2 big monsters. Hopefully we draw one of our 11 Tribute Fighters in tandem with one of our 13 Tribute Monsters. Let's see. Let's pray for the best. So we've got Eidos, we've got Erebus, Prime, 1-for-1, and Mega Thessalos. There we go. That's better. So I'd say 1-for-1. Pitch the Eidos. Special idea. Idea's effect. To bust out Mithra.
Oh my gosh.
Alright, so bust out Mithra. So you have a normal summon, and when you tribute Mithra, you're going to gain an extra tribute summon this turn. So we're going to go ahead and tribute these 2 off. For Erebus, and activate his effect. We're going to dump Pantheism and Prime. I always do that, unless I don't have the Prime to dump. Rip a card out of our opponent's hand. We're going to activate the Pantheism. We're going to search for Domain. And now you guys get to see my little combo. So we ripped 1 card out of our opponent's hand. We didn't open Return. Like, if the Eidos or any other card would have been, if this would have been Monarch's Return, that would have been nice. Or Tenacity, because then we could search out what we need. But you have an extra tribute, so now you're going to tribute him. For the Thessalos, rip another card out of your opponent's hand. So now they're playing with 2 less cards. You got the Pantheism, reveal those. So I guess to get more targets for Prime, you just Pantheism for one of the 3 Tenacities, reveal the Thessalos, and just search for the Domain anyways, just to get 2 engraved for Prime to actually be useful. And the other cool thing is, like, let's say for example, let's go back to right here. If you want to get even more, which is really cool that I'm noticing this now, you can do this also. You can activate Eidos, because you still have your extra tribute summon. Activate Eidos, and remember, this is optional. It says you can tribute this summon by tributing 1 tribute summon monster, but you don't have to. So you're going to target the idea and special it, right? Then you're going to go ahead and you can use Domain, reveal Thessalos, tribute the idea, chain block. Then you can add Pantheism from your banished zone to hand. You still rip 2 cards out of your opponent's hand, and you keep Thessalos, and you keep Erebus. Then you get Pantheism back to draw 2. And look what you drew. An Aether. And that's even more nutty because Aether is just going to make magic happen on her own. Because you could just, bam, on their turn, tribute the Thessalos and just summon Karas, pop some cards, make some magic happen. So this is the perfect opening that I explained in my deck profile. So you guys got to see my deck do what I said it can do. So I'm glad that we got to end the video like this. Thank you guys for watching my Monarch deck profile. I really appreciate it. I'm not sure if Monarchs are really doing too well. I'm not sure on the views and stuff, but I do this for the people that do care about Monarchs. So for those of you who do care, hopefully you enjoyed this. Peace.